In this first module, we will be looking at the first alternative funding model, which is consultancy services. As a civil society organization, as a non-governmental organization, can you offer consultancy services? Can you use this as a means to generate additional resources to support the work that you are doing? Do you have some stakeholders in your environment that require some expertise from you and your organization that you can package a product, a service, and deliver in response to the need of these stakeholders as a consultancy service? The objective of this model is to enable us to learn how to set up and run a successful consultancy service as a not-for-profit organization. We will be equipped with the fundamental concepts, basic knowledge, and skills on running an effective consultancy service. We hope that by the end of this module, you would have understood the existing and possible consulting opportunities within the not-for-profit sector, particularly those that are relevant to the kind of work that you do. We also hope that you will know the fundamentals that you need to know in order to start implementing a consultancy service within your organization. We hope that you will be able to understand the steps required to create an organizational action plan for implementation in your specific organizations. And of course, you will be energized, inspired, and motivated to apply the knowledge you have gained from this particular module. In this session, we will be looking at an introduction to consultancy. We will also examine the key features of consultancy services as an alternative funding model. We will look at the aim of having a consultancy service for our respective organization. We will also examine the benefits of having a consultancy. We will explore who the potential users of a consultancy service are. We will also examine the steps required to step up consulting services for our respective organizations. And we will explore some of the guiding principles for consultancy services as applicable within the sector. But most importantly, it is important for you and your organization to see what is relevant for you. It is important at this point to mention that some civil society organizations, be they international non-governmental organizations or community-based organizations, have already explored this approach and are making strides in leveraging on consultancy services, to expand the revenue streams for their respective organizations. So it could be something that can work for you. Let us take this content of this module, and we hope by the end of this session, you would have been inspired to know what is applicable in your context. First of all, a consultancy is when you provide a professional and technical expertise in a specific field for payment. When you provide a professional and technical expertise in a specific field for payment. Some of the key features of consultancy services include 1. Provision of technical expertise to a third party by charging a fee. It involves training and skills development activities, both at the organizational level and also at the beneficiary level. So if your organization is to leverage or make use of consultancy services, you need to develop the capacities that are required for you to offer this or the required or the needed consultancy to a third party. You need to deliver the consultancy service in a professional manner. Aims of consultancy services include 1. Identifying and investigating problems concerned with strategy, policy, markets, organizational and procedures and methods. Secondly, it is to formulate recommendations for appropriate action by a third party. Thirdly, discussing and agreeing with the client and the most appropriate future course of action. And fourthly, providing assistance where required by the client to implement recommendations. Some of the benefits of offering consultancy services to organizations include 1. Enhancing organizational visibility. So by offering consultancy services, many more stakeholders, external stakeholders in this case, get to know that you exist, understand what you do, and most importantly, understand how they can reach out to you or what they can request of you to support them in. So in that way, your organization's visibility will be increased. Secondly, it can help you to increase your internal capacity. Increasing internal capacity strengthening. By this, in order to be effective in delivering your services or in offering high quality services to your end users, you as an organization, your staff, your personnel need certain competencies. In the process of acquiring these competencies, you will be strengthening your internal capacity. Ultimately, it provides an alternative revenue stream for your organization. And in this case, what is most important to note is that these are unrestricted resources. Resources that you can use to cover other expenses in your organization, to ease the work that you are doing. Potential users of consultancy services include staff members of the organization or any civil society organization that can develop and offer trainings and skills development to desiring organizations or individuals at a cost. Could this be your case? It is important for you to explore how applicable this can be to your specific organization. In order to offer high quality consultancy services, it is important to put in place a package, a process, a mechanism that will make you to deliver top-notch services. Some of the steps required to set up consulting services for your organization include 1. Assess the internal capacity of your organization. Secondly, conduct a market research to assess the need and potential clients. This is very important because it will enable you to put your strengths in the areas that are needed most within the market sector. particularly for organizations that would want to explore this for the first time, it is important to do this analysis thoroughly, as it will enable you to make the most use of your resources. Thirdly, define a clear, concise, and feasible consultancy objectives. What do you seek to achieve over a specific period of time? It is important to articulate these clearly, concisely, and make it in a way that is feasible, as opposed to being a wish list for your organization. That way, you can implement, assess within a specific period of time, and derive lessons that will inform decisions whether or not to continue with that approach and how to do that. Fourthly, inform your board about the rationale for operating this model. As civil society organizations, it is important to have your board make inputs and support this initiative. Fifth, develop a consultancy funding model or approach for the organization. What approach will work for you? How many staff in your organization can be dedicated to this stream of income generation in your organization? Who are those who have the most needed capacities that you can leverage upon? Build on all of these to define an approach that is feasible for your organization and that you can run with without overstretching your team. Of course, as a sixth step, present this model, presents this approach for board approval. Next, and the seventh, is to pilot it for 1 or 2 years, learn from the process, refine it as you're piloting it, and make sure that it is well tailored, well suited to fit within your overall annual operations plan for the organization. The eighth and last, explore whether the organization's approach is worth continuing or not. This, of course, builds on the seventh step, and it is very important to make this decision, to reach this decision based on the lessons you've learned after piloting and refining your approach. We hope that by applying these 8 steps, you would have derived lessons that will enable you to be perfect, to enhance your art of delivering consultancy services, and or deciding whether or not to continue with this approach. Some guiding principles to consider in operating a consultancy service include: 1. Start all your assignments on schedule. Time is money. Your time and the client's time are of essence. Make sure you start your assignments on schedule. Follow a systematic plan that has been agreed by your organization and the third party. Thirdly, be focused on the subject matter included in the assignments. Fourth, be optimistic in providing alternative approaches for your clients. Be optimistic about inspiring your clients to reach decisions that will enhance their work. Fifth, do not criticize your client's personnel or methods of operations. Use an appreciative inquiry approach in working with all your clients. Sixth, do not jump into conclusions too quickly. Take your time, work with your clients, expose them to exercises, to approaches, to scenarios that will make them reach conclusions for themselves. Seventh, and most important, submit written reports at the end of each service. This is important for your organization and also important for your client. Documentation is key. This will enable you to fall back on what you've documented over a given period of time, review, assess, and make informed decisions. In all, any civil society organization can develop and offer consultancy services to desiring organizations, individuals at a cost. What is that peculiar capacity, peculiar approach, unique way of doing that you have that others do not have, that you have and others are seeking to learn from? You can build this, leverage on this, package this as a consultancy service, pilot it for 1 or 2 years, test it, learn from the process, and of course, decide whether or not to continue with it. We encourage you to take the assessment after this module to see what has stuck in you and what you've learned from the process so far. Thank you very much.